Hello, everyone. As you can see, I'm here by myself today because, unfortunately, the topic of today's um, live stream is part of what we're dealing with today. Today, we're talking about on the inflection point moment the habit of showing up and doing the work, named consistency. Unfortunately, Jeff is not able to be with us today because of a calendar snafu where I know all of us have had this happen in our lifetime, but he ended up recognizing this morning at about 7:45 that he had double booked himself and he had booked himself here for the inflection point moment and also in a client workshop that lasted from 9 to 1 today that he's the person facilitating it. Needless to say, he can't be two places at once. None of us have managed to make that happen yet. And the client workshop that he had to facilitate had to be where he spent his time because I could take care of the inflection point moment today. But the point of the fact that we're here talking about consistency today and Jeff couldn't be with us, we have to admit it's pretty humorous. And if you can't laugh when things like this happen, life's going to be really challenging. So, my first request for you today is if you are with me live, please type who you are and where you're from in the chat so that I can know that I'm not just talking to myself. Even if I am just talking to myself, there are a couple things I want to share today. But I do want to say that our live stream for today's conversation will probably be shorter than it would have been if Jeff and I were interacting together. So since I knew Jeff wasn't going to be with me, when I was talking to my assistant this morning, I suggested that she and I might want to do this together, and she was all about it until she realized that there was a definite possibility that she was going to be in a client meeting while our live stream was going on. This person that she has on her schedule on a regular basis often doesn't show up. But today, it is one of the days that he did, and so my assistant Ashley can't be with me. Happy to see that we have two people with us in person. Yasmin, great to know you're with me here. I am so grateful. And you're located live in Columbus, Ohio. We also have someone else who says they're a LinkedIn user, also from Columbus, Ohio. So grateful you're both with us here. So as we go forward and start this conversation, please chime in the chat. I can't respond to you by typing a message, but I will respond as we're talking. And for those of you who are watching this live stream later, please type any comments you have in the chat below the screen, and Jeff and or I will be happy to respond to you. It's really important that we do that. So as we talk about consistency and showing up to do the work, that is a habit that we get into, but different people need to create their habits differently, understanding who they are and the type of person they are in how they approach their work. Because I see this as a continuum. I'm a visionary. I show up on one end of the continuum in the big picture. Matter of fact, my strength is that I paint the very best pictures of what is possible, what could be. I have that ability to see what's out there on the horizon and how we could leverage that. Then there are people on the other end of the continuum who see all the details. And this is why it would have been so great for Ashley, my assistant, to be with us today, because she has this amazing ability when someone paints that picture of what could be, what's possible. Her brain, and we were having this conversation this morning, she said her brain actually puts 60, she calls it 67,000 little steps of, okay, it'll take this, and then it'll take this, and then it'll take this, and then it'll take this. And eventually we get to that vision that somebody just painted the picture for out there. That's great. And we need those people. So basically, I'm a forest seer and Ashley is a trees seer. And we need both of those people, and we need people all in the middle along that continuum to be able to bring their strengths in how they manage their work and the work that they do to the table. Because even if we are a solopreneur, we need to be able to tap into the expertise of others. Yasmin, who's on the call today, has done my website. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not something that I wanted to do because as a big picture person, it's really hard for me to think through all those details. What's all the copy I need to have? What are the pages I need to have? Now I can think about it now because I've done enough on my website that I see some of it, but it's not just the default for me to be able to know all those little details. Yasmin helped me understand, okay, on this page, we need to think about this and this and this, and this piece of copy goes here, and there's a photo that goes here, and this testimonial goes here. Those are details. And if you're somebody who's showing up to do the work and that's automatic for you, it makes it much easier. There are people who don't have to have a to-do list because it's all in their head. I don't really understand that, but there are those people. And my theory is the more complex your life gets, the more you have to train yourself to have some sort of method to keep track of those things. But there are people who can do it by themselves. So knowing who you are and where you are on that continuum, to kind of plot yourself on that continuum, is really important because the habit of showing up and doing the work, managing that habit, creating those micro habits, the little habits that become the bigger habit pattern is understood better, or it works better actually, and there's more consistency to it if you know what it is you need to do. How do you need to start your day? What are the things you need to check into? How do you need to start your week? What are the days when you get the most done? Because we all, from a biorhythms perspective, have times and days where we're more effective in getting our work done. We got to know that about ourselves, and then create habits that capture the energy we have in those times to do our most important work. So knowing where you fall on the continuum is really important. And then knowing how you need to show up and do the work. What are the tools you need to be able to stay consistent? For me, I use the tool Asana. I have friends who use the tool Nozbe. I have other people who use, okay, so I'm a hybrid person because I have a planner, because for me, writing it down with my hand is really important. That cements it in my brain. I believe a lot of us have that and sometimes don't tap into that because we've lost sight of the fact that actual action makes a difference. So, are you a person who sees the details? Are you the big picture person? What is it you need to do to tap your strengths to create that consistency? And who do you need to have around you so that those kinds of consistency can happen? For those of you who are here on the stream, if you have answers to that question, I would love to hear from you about that. I want to share a story from my own life from this standpoint because I grew up with a mom who was a very detail-oriented person. And she taught me a whole lot of things. Things about making sure things got done, things about doing things in a sequential order, things about knowing how to make stuff happen because you did consistently show up. I was in a family where, you know what, on Saturday morning, you didn't watch the cartoons until the cleaning was done. Yeah, I had really mean parents from that standpoint. And I'm kind of dating myself on that particular part of it. But you know what? I learned to get the work done. I learned the habit of showing up and doing the work. Here's where I ran into a problem. Because I'm such a big picture person and I'm such a visionary and I see those things that are possible out, I combine things that other people don't necessarily see as being combined. My mom didn't deal well with that. And I am not judging my mom at all, but there were times when it crushed my spirit because the things that I could see, she couldn't. And because she had experienced somewhere in her life the fact that somebody with a vision gave her a lot of work to do while they went off and did something else, probably did the next visionary thing, to be perfectly honest with you, because those of us who are visionaries can do that on occasion. We can just have one visionary idea after another and kind of leave the doing part to other people. We need to be careful about that. But because of those experiences where she got stuck doing all the work, or that's how she experienced it, as opposed to having the picture painted for her of what the vision was and how important those doing actions were for her and how that contributed to the big picture, she didn't see any potential big picture idea as having the value and possibility that it could. That was just something that in many situations she totally shut down. There were times when the big picture idea was something that she could get behind because she could understand how it contributed to something that was important to her. But until she could see that, she was not in the boat in any way, shape, or form. And there were times when there were possibilities that could have really made a difference where her not getting in the boat meant it just didn't happen. It got shut down. So as a visionary, you have to be careful in the habit of showing up and doing the work that you make sure you're bringing everybody along with you and that you are participating in the doing the work part at whatever level you need to be doing that. I mean, even if you're somebody who is a very big picture, 50,000 foot person, there are things you can do at 10,000 feet and even at ground level that contribute and help others believe that you're in it for the long haul with them, as opposed to, I'm going to swoop in, give you the big idea, and then go off and do my thing. Consistency means when we start the big project, we hang in there with people. I mean, we may have another big project we have to start too, but we have to find a way to be in both spaces at the same time. So, really wanted to share that with you. Again, wish Jeff could have been with us because I'm sure he would have had some comment about the fact that I'm a big picture thinker and that my mom didn't necessarily buy into every big idea I had. Because he knows about the fact that Rhonda presents a big idea. But you know what else I've learned? Because I had that mom who wasn't always in the boat and I needed to sell it, is I understand now that I need to put a little bit of a trellis around the idea and help people see what it is, as opposed to just saying, hey, this is a really great idea and we should do it. And you guys figure out how? No, we have to figure it out together. I believe that everybody, the people who see the details and the people who see the big picture, together figure out how to make it work, how to take that vision and bring it to reality. Because the visionary by themselves, reality is not going to happen real easily on that. You have to keep showing up consistently to do the work as a visionary to make it happen. You need those people beside you that help you see those smaller pieces that really are difficult for us as visionaries to recognize until we get to that point in the process and say, oh my gosh, this is going to take me another week because I didn't allow for XYZ. Bring a team with you. It will make a world of difference. So consistency, showing up and doing the work, means working with others as well as yourself. And just circling back on this whole process, from the conversation I had with my assistant this morning when we were talking about, well, how would we talk about this? She was sharing the fact that a lot of times as the detail person, she doesn't want to open up a new product that's a possibility until every single minute detail is taken care of. But here's what's lost in that process. When you don't allow people to speak into that, when you don't allow your clients to speak into it, then you don't have the best possible product, because the customer needs to give you insight into what might still be needed that you don't see. So even if you're the detail person, there are details that you can't see because you're on one side of it and you're really close to it. Have people have openings where other people can speak into it, where other people can, especially your customers, can give you feedback on it. And as you create the product, allow them to have input. That's why we do things that are called experiments. That's why we test market a product. That's why we put it out there knowing that it's not totally 100% perfect yet, because the people who are using it are going to help us make it more perfect than we could possibly make it ourselves. We need those other people's input. So having said all of that, my question for you is, how do you create consistency in your life and in your ability to show up and do the work? What makes it better for you to show up? I am grateful that you stayed with me. We will certainly be back next week. And actually, we're going to talk next week about celebration. So this is the showing up and doing the work. Next week is the showing up and celebrating the work that's been done, the events of our lives, and why that's so important for us to recognize as business owners and leaders. Hope you have a great week this week. Thank you for being with me. Really appreciate it. And I will see you next week with Jeff along with me. Have a great week. Bye-bye.